All right, we are back again and going to be answering some more questions here. Let's just hop into the next one. What is your favorite Bethyl fanfic trope? Because mine is when I read fics where we are taken to earlier seasons and we get to see the perspective of Daryl during that time where he notices Beth, even if it's in his periphery. Like, come on, the entire argument and still was evidence that he did notice her, and you cannot tell me he was not at least taken by her quiet beauty during the farm and the prison. You can also tell that she kind of noticed him too. That's some soulmate shit right there. Okay, so somebody needs to create a t-shirt that has Beth and Daryl on it, like some, major Bethyl moment, like when they're looking at each other over dinner in Alone, or maybe the serious piggyback or something, and just write soulmate shit on it. I would buy that t-shirt. Okay, well, first of all, to answer your question at the beginning, I have kind of a confession to make, and that is that I do not actually read very much Bethyl fanfic. It's not that I don't want to read it. I honestly just don't have the time. And so I've actually read shockingly little Bethyl fanfic. But I can tell you, I can still kind of answer this, even though I guess I couldn't really say it's a Bethyl fanfic trope, because obviously I haven't read them. But I do agree that this is a fun one to see, and especially I think that a lot of people have noticed this, and that's why we get this trope a lot, because usually I guess it's more from Beth's point of view. In the show, we do get a lot of evidence that she was noticing Daryl. We have her conversation with Carol in season 3, and then, we have everything she said, during the fight, that she noticed him when the Sophia thing was going on. And so obviously she was watching him. So I agree that there's no way that he was not watching her, right? So yeah, I totally love that, and I get why people write those kinds of fan fictions, because they're so much fun to explore, and it just makes it terribly romantic and makes it feel like it was destiny that they were going to end up together at some point, which, it totally was. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. So yeah, I don't know that I have really an answer to the trope question, but I definitely do love that, just in general, and to see things from Daryl's perspective is fun. And I think that's especially fun because we don't, even though we see things happening from his perspective in the show, we don't get his thoughts on things a lot. And that's true of all the characters. It's different in a TV show than it is in a book, because we can't be inside their heads in a TV show. But we still get a better idea of what most of them are thinking based on what they say. And Daryl just doesn't say much. So it's fun to get in his head and tell stories that way. So yeah, I don't know what my favorite Bethyl fanfic trope would be, but I do love everything you said here, and I'm sure those are some of the best fanfics. And I agree that she noticed him too. And, the one big, I think, evidence we have that he noticed her earlier was when he watches her sing. And me and Galadriel Jones had a whole conversation about this that went on for a long time the other night, so maybe I will work it into one of my later videos. I need to get through the asks first. The other thing I will say, and I've debated whether to announce this or not because I haven't actually started on it yet. I am, somebody a long time ago, in fact, I think I still have it, but several weeks ago, maybe several months ago, Cat's Wonderland asked me if I would consider writing fanfic, and I told my fellows, W.D. Way and Galadriel Jones, that I was officially going to start one. But I even told them that like a month ago, guys, and I have not started it yet, okay? I've got a lot on my plate, so I'm planning to write one. I've started drafting, but that is all the further I have gotten, so, I don't know, maybe if you guys want, you can write in and tell me what your favorite Bethyl fanfic tropes are. I can't promise that I will use them all, but I could try to work some of them into the story I'm thinking of, and I'm hoping to start putting that out in the next month or so, but I don't promise because I have a lot I got to get done every day. So like I said, I've been debating whether to actually announce that, because my worry, it's not that I'm not going to do it, it's that I'm going to say, I'll have the first chapter out in 3 weeks, and then I might not be able to do it in 3 weeks. It might take a while. So anyway, but thank you for the question. And if you guys have any tropes in mind, go ahead and send them to me. Again, I can't promise I will use them all, but I will try to work a few of them in. Okay, next one. Hi there, me again. Thanks so much for the response for my last one. Really appreciated it. You're welcome. Now back to business, of course. I don't know if it's my pessimistic ass thinking about it, but I would be so mad if they bring Beth back only for them to kill her off to provide some sort of half-assed closure for Daryl and his character arc. I just can't have that, or else I'll fall back into the good old Bethyl depression hole again, but I'm quite positive if they have Beth back, they will at least be nicer to us because we deserve it. Yes, we do. That's right. We have dealt with a whole lot of hate and bullying for a good many years now, so we do deserve it. I just can't wait for Daryl to be so feral and possessive of her if anyone dares to touch her, because we know he will be. Super excited for season 2, especially after the leaked script. Yes, I'm not really worried about this. This is another thing that I know a lot of people worry about. And I understand why. I mean, you have someone like Morales that they literally brought him back just to kill him. So I get it. But at the same time, Morales and Daryl did not share a hug or a smoky candlelight dinner or a serious piggyback or any of that. So, you know, it just all goes back to whether you believe in the symbolism and the setups that they've done, okay? And I know not everybody believes in them, so I get it. But, you know, in the last few videos that I've recorded, one thing I talked about was the missing scenes from season 5. And guys, there are facts here. You know, a lot of what we talk about are theories, a lot about things that we're projecting that haven't happened yet. But let's just go over this. It is a fact that they filmed something at a white church that couldn't be seen. I mean, the cameras took pictures, but all you could see was a wall that was built around it so that nobody could see, and you could see the church's white spire. Okay, that's it. We have those on the fanfic site. And the night that they were filming there, I mean, it was obvious that there were people there, there were lights, there were voices, you know, there was filming going on there. Emily was posting on social media that monkey picture, which you can still find. It's still there. Well, okay, actually, because she got hacked a few years ago, I'm not sure it's still there. But people still have it. I have it somewhere, and I know that other theorists have it as well. I'll see if I can find it to put in the video, but if not, just trust me. We do still have that picture. And so we know for a fact that something was filmed at a white church and that Emily was involved. It is also a fact that they put out official TWD trading cards that talked about a funeral service for Beth at a white church. Now, it is one and the same. It couldn't possibly not be. So they filmed a funeral scene for her at the white church. We have not seen that. And if they decided to scrap her storyline, they would have shown it to us, okay? It would be a deleted scene. It would be, oh, this is something that we were going to do and we decided not to. They would come out and give it to us as a DVD extra, and it would be explained. Another thing that happened was that the owner of, it wasn't of the church, but of the houses, you know, that we also, she was seen going into one of them, Emily was, during season 5 filming, and we never saw anything in season 5 about those houses. The owner of one of the houses said that he took pictures on the set and was told that he could post them, but only after the scenes aired, and he has not posted those yet. And again, if they weren't going to air the scenes, they would just tell him that. They'd be like, oh, okay, we scrapped it. We're not going to air those scenes. Go ahead and post your pictures. It has not happened yet. So that means everything that was filmed in the white church and in those cabins, they are holding it back, and they are still planning to put it in the show somewhere. We will see those scenes. Now, does that alone prove that Beth is alive? No. Well, the church one doesn't, because, you know, you could argue, I'm going to put argue in air quotes here, that the church scene was really just her funeral scene, and that's all it'll be. But the problem with that is, why would they hold it back? If the funeral scene really was just a nice funeral for her, like we saw for Tyrese and for so many other characters, why wouldn't they show us that in season 5? There's no reason not to. So there's got to be something else there that they don't want us to know yet. And then there's the cabin scenes. This was the famous thing where she went into the cabin and then someone saw her and it hit the airwaves that she'd been seen filming. And immediately Emily tweeted, oh, going to the movies. And it was clearly like an attempted misdirection so that people wouldn't know she was filming. But again, we didn't see anything of those cabins in the 5th season. So if Emily was in there filming, that suggests that she was alive filming those scenes. And yeah, maybe back in season 5, but again, we didn't see her leave Grady and go to those cabins. You know what I mean? We didn't see anything like that. So there are scenes of her being alive that we have not seen yet. And could you argue that it's a flashback? Yes, you could argue that. But given everything else we know, it just, it's too suspicious. And it goes along very well with our theories, which are backed up in other ways as well, that they tried to bury her and then a horde came through, so they left her in a car. When they came back, she was gone, yada, yada. You know, we've been over this a million times. So, you know, I get why people are worried about this, but I'm not, because they just did way too much groundwork, way too much setup. They set up the whole damn romance novel storyline. And, you know, we've said it a million times. If they really were just planning to kill her off, it wouldn't have been a romance novel. Romance novels always have happily ever afters. Do you guys know that? I'm not talking about romance within a novel. I'm talking about genre romance, like an actual romance novel. It is understood among novelists like myself that if you are not going to give a happily ever after to the story, you almost can't call it a romance novel. Okay, and if you are going to call it that anyway, what most authors do is they will put a note in the book description, like on Amazon, when you have the synopsis, what the book's about. At the bottom, they will put a note that says either there is no happily ever after, they call it HEA, that's how they abbreviate it, or they'll say there is a happily ever after coming, but it's not in this novel. It's a 3-book series. It'll come at the end. And the reason they have to do that, the authors, is because the audience will go nuts. Okay. Romance readers take their happily ever afters very, very seriously, and they will scratch your eyes right out if you do not give it to them. Okay, this is a real thing in the culture of romance writing. So of course you can have romance in other types of stories, other genres, and maybe it won't end happily. But for an actual romance novel, what is considered a romance novel, you have to have a happy ending. So and trust me, Gimple is aware of that. So is Angela Kang. So if they were really just planning to kill her off and have it be sort of a romance, but an unrealized one, and then it was going to be tragic because she was going to die, they wouldn't have called it a romance novel. They would have worked Greek tragedy in there or something, you know. So there's a lot of actual evidence we have that we will see her again, and that she's going to have a big arc when she comes back, and that she will be Daryl's love interest and soulmate long term. Just in one of the last videos, I also talked about the fact that they admitted that there were feelings in the synopsis for the season. Remember, I talked about how they said for Alone that when she said, oh, it's because she realized that Daryl had feelings for her. Again, guys, that is not a theory. That actually happened. And yeah, they took it down, but they admitted that, you know. So anyway, kind of a big departure, but just all of that to say that I understand where the worry comes from, but I'm not worried about it at all. We have way too much evidence and way too many things that we still need to see, and way too many. Yeah, I mean, it's circumstantial evidence, but there's no way to get around it either. You know, lots and lots of people have been convicted on circumstantial evidence, guys. So yeah, I'm not worried about it. And I think that, I mean, again, it's way too much work for them to have done to bring her back just to kill her off. And while, yes, they did that with Morales was a tiny character, okay? He was in not even the whole first season, you know, so he wasn't somebody who was having a huge impact on everybody's life, not at all like Beth having an impact on Daryl. It's just a completely different thing. I do love what you said at the end, that you want Daryl to be so feral and possessive of her. Number one, we know he will be because of what happened with Len in season 4, and Daryl almost killed him, and Len didn't even know who Beth was. He was just, you know, needling Daryl about stuff. So yeah, definitely. And in the previous Ask, they asked me what my favorite Bethyl trope was. I don't know if this is a Bethyl trope, but Daryl being feral and possessive, that might be my favorite Bethyl trope right there. And in fact, I've told this story before, but that's actually what really got me into shipping Beth and Daryl, because I still remember it. I was watching Alone for the first time. Well, of course, we watched Still, and then we watched Alone. And Still, I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved it. I thought it was sweet. I was not really into analyzing the show back then, and I was not online a lot about it. But I was a loyal viewer who showed up every week. And I watched Still, and, you know, I was just watching it going, oh, it's so sweet. They're going to get together. I really like that. That's cool. But it was very surface, what I was thinking about it. And then when I watched Alone, and it was like the moment she got kidnapped and he went running after her, I remember just like my jaw being in my lap and going, did she just get kidnapped, you know, and it was all over. I was hooked for life at that point. So, and that just kind of plays also into Daryl being possessive and feral. So, yeah, excellent question. And I hope I didn't ramble too much on it, but I also am very excited for season 2, and it's coming up super soon. So we won't have to wait too much longer. All right, guys, I'm going to call it there for today, and I will be back later with more videos. Have a good one.